What exactly is the problem with season 11 of Doctor Who? We'll talk about it after this. Hello out there, I'm the Oldest Nerd, and I have been trying to go over in my mind exactly what the situation is with season 11 of Doctor Who. Now, we know, of course, with a new doctor, a new showrunner, new writers, and a stated desire to do something different than previous Doctor Who series have done. Now, there's a reason for this. We have seen since David Tennant's 4th season or so that numbers have been sliding throughout much of Matt Smith's era, with a few noted exceptions. The 50th anniversary special was very well received. His premiere episode was very well received, as premiere episodes are. Everybody wants to see what the new Doctor is going to be like. But generally in mid-series, the numbers trail. That's not unusual on any kind of new series of Doctor Who, where we get to see who the Doctor is, we see if we like him or not, and then the curiosity seekers go away, and it's left with just the regular folk. In this case, we have seen the same kind of trailing off, but still numbers that are better than the last 2 or 3 series. But still, there seems to be something wrong here. There seems to be something that keeps coming up in comments on this channel and other places that I've read. There's a problem with the writing. What we're actually seeing is that the show is considerably more grounded. Let's take away the idea that there's somebody who can time travel in a box that's bigger on the inside than it is on the outside. But let's look at everything else. What are the relationships like? What are the storylines like? We put some aliens in, but some people have said, I've said, that it seems as if things go as they would go, and our characters come in almost as an afterthought. And the more I think about it, the more I think that might be the absolute intention. We have gotten so used to the type of writing on Doctor Who that has been mostly promulgated by Stephen Moffat, to a certain extent under Russell T Davies, which many of those episodes are written by Moffat. In the original run of Doctor Who, there have been a number of writers, but generally speaking, reality itself is altered. Let's go back to Christopher Eccleston's run as the Doctor. In the early episodes, they create aliens that have landed and have taken over the British government. And then they kill off all of the Prime Minister and his cabinet, and we have a new Prime Minister elected, and later the Master comes in and he becomes the Prime Minister. And history as we know it in our lifetimes has been changed, and the program history as a result is based upon a slightly whimsical and quite different world than we really live in. And one of the things that we've experienced now is that under Chris Chibnall, Earth is what Earth is. There's still a Donald Trump as the President of the United States. They don't go somewhere and find President Mr. Central Casting. They assume that everything except for our characters goes in real history and in the real world that we live in. And, you know, sometimes the world we live in is kind of boring. I mean, we're used to that. We know what that is. And perhaps we've become spoiled to the whimsical, bigger-than-life world that has been made, where you have something like UNIT, where you have most of the population knowing that aliens have landed in the Thames. These kind of things were part of Doctor Who, at least in the reboot series. The Doctor, too, is less of a comic book superhero and more of just a person who travels and tries to make things a little better. They seem to be headed that way with Capaldi. I guess it's in starker relief now that we don't have the puzzle stories. We don't have the playing around with timey-wimey stuff. We don't have the fantastic nature. We go to the future and here's what might happen. We go to the past and here's what happened. We come to the present and it's very much like the world we live in. So does that make the show boring? Does that make the show different and perhaps more accessible to someone who's not used to the Doctor Who phenomenon? I mean, how would you explain a mid-season David Tennant to someone who had first come to watch Doctor Who? Well, in this universe, we have the Master who has become Prime Minister, and we've had aliens come down, and people know that they're aliens. And I think, though, that what was once told in allegory is now more straight out at you. There's some people that are offended by this, of issues that we face in today's world, since we are living in today's world. They talk about. They couldn't do it in the Moffat series or in Russell T Davies, where they'd already had our present altered to a point to where what are problems in the real world are not problems in the universe. So what we've done is we've made Doctor Who into kind of a travelogue procedural documentary. And there's nothing wrong with that. There are a lot of people who have joined the show who might never have done so before, and that's a good thing. The rest of us, we can adapt, or we can find something else good to watch. There's plenty of science fiction on television these days, much more than there's ever been. We've never had such a time to where we could watch almost everything that's ever been on, or have a choice between 4 or 5 different kind of shows with similar kind of thematic elements. So that's my thoughts on this, kind of rambling thoughts on this. I'd like to hear more of yours to see if what your problem with the show is, if you have a problem with it, is in the fact that it's too real or something else. Always invite your comments. Also, once again, many thanks to everybody who's helped us do so well in subscriptions. If you have not subscribed yet, I would recommend that you do. My latest information tells me that there's still about 90% who watch these videos that don't subscribe. It doesn't cost you anything. It doesn't put you on any mailing list. You don't have to wear any funny hats. It helps us out to continue making videos here. So I would appreciate if you click the subscribe button and or the circle in right here. Otherwise, thank you very much. We'll see you with a review of the next Doctor Who adventure. Till then, don't go far.